One of my first stories was having a buddy of mine. I was just gaming, and he came to me and goes, "Hey, have you heard of this Bitcoin thing, bro? You got to put whatever you can into this Bitcoin stuff."
You
He's
remember
like,
what the price was?
$3.75.
First, it was the inscriptions on Ethereum. And then somebody was like, oh, you can inscribe on the extra memory on the Satoshis on Bitcoin and put an image on that. And then ordinals were born, right? All these other things.
You found some emails, huh? When you first started looking into this, it's going from to NASA and the creator.
I found some emails between like the Bitcoin creator and NASA, right? And then started diving in and going, okay, well, GEO-256, NASA made it, okay. And I started looking into like, was that true and everything else, and figured out what they made it and used it for, and it was encrypted communication.
A lot of these projects are going to run out of funds to be able to pay their returns, and that's going to end up siphoning a project.
The one biggest thing about me is that I just want people to know, like, be able to know that there are trustworthy builders out there.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of Into the Web3Verse, where we talk about everything crypto and blockchain technology. Today, I am honored to have this guest on with us. I'm super excited. We have Decentral Bros with us today, and today I'm sitting and talking with Justin, who I've gotten to know over the last year, actually a little over a year now, and it's just been an honor. So to have him on the podcast today, super excited. With that said, want to say good morning to Justin from D-Bros. How are you?
Good, bro. How about you?
Doing good, dude.
Halloween.
I know, dude, it's a Halloween podcast. I didn't even think about that until just now.
Yeah.
But how badass is it that we get to be here on Halloween, chilling for a little bit, and then we're going to get out and go do our thing. I know that you're going to take some time today to relax and spend time with the wife and the pets, which I think is great. And then you guys what do you got going on for Halloween? What are you doing this evening? Anything special?
I mean, I 3D print a lot of cosplay stuff too, right? So I have my Ghostbuster suit that I don't get to wear, but once a year and certain things. So I'm definitely gonna be rocking my Ghostbuster suit, my proton packs, and everything else, and not like actually going around and collecting candy, but because me and the wife bought a house about like 7 months ago, right? And I think I told you about that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really nice neighborhood and kids go around early. So I'm going to put on a Ghostbuster suit and hand out candy on the front porch. So basically turned into a homeowner, I don't want to say, like those commercials, oh, they turned to a homeowner, but we can't stop them from becoming their parents or something,
Yeah. All of a sudden, both your hands are behind your back and you're walking around like a dad.
Yeah.
Dude, that's fun. Oh, we'll definitely need to see some pictures of the Ghostbusters. So look for that on y'all's timelines. With that said, let's just go ahead and get into it. Like I said, I've gotten to know you over a year now. I'm thankful to be one of your friends and to be able to help building our communities together like we are. It's just been awesome. So with that said, let's go with the first question today. I know that you might have answered some of these on Spaces and stuff. So Justin and I get to talk a lot on Spaces, so I pick his brain a lot. But this is our first long form YouTube podcast with D-Bros. So we're going to start kind of from the basics. And, Justin, you've been around crypto and blockchain technology since literally day one, since its infancy, since it began. And you've been building in that. You're a coder, you're an ethical hacker in the past, you do hackathons, you have worked, you've built programs and developed tools for many IRL companies. So what is the journey of Justin? What led to you hearing about Bitcoin, about Ethereum, blockchain in the very beginning of that? And then what led to you wanting to get into this world and to where you are now, and give us a little breakdown of who Decentral Bros is.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was like the third year existence of Bitcoin. And I just was curious about, the algorithms, and there wasn't many places to buy it, right? I don't even think like Coinbase was even really a thing at the time, right? And certain things, there was certain sites, but you had to do like VPNs, right? If you're in the US, certain things like that. And you didn't know which ones were there, sketchy. Some of the sites got hacked and supplies were drained, and so you didn't know really like, okay, well, what about cold storage wallets? It wasn't like you can go on Amazon and be like, cold storage wallet, buy, have people making them, buy them, put your stuff out safe. It was literally getting creative, and as everybody knows, why they think crypto is all for, like, had its reputation for criminal or whatever else stuff, because the dark web. Bitcoin was mainly used in the dark web, right, for drugs or bad stuff or whatever else. But yeah, once I was like kind of dialed into it, I found some, I don't know, and I still have them to this day. I mean, they look legit and everything else, and I'm pretty confident they're real. But I found some emails between, like, the Bitcoin creator and NASA, right? And then started diving in and going, okay, well, Chia 256, NASA made it, okay. And I started looking into, like, was that true and everything else, and figured out what they made it and used it for, and it was encrypted communications, right? And I'm like, okay, that's actually a really good idea, because you can't go forward with it, you can't go back. I mean, you can't go backwards, right? And if you do change even just one letter within the entire algorithm for that next block changes, right? So previous to cryptography links, and essentially how you can't go backwards. And I was like, okay, fantastic. And I was like, all right, well, this is how he created this cryptocurrency that we see as, like, in the birth of all the crazy stuff we're doing today. All the different chains out. But yeah, and then when Ethereum came out, I was like, wow, Vitalik, this is fantastic. This young guy, like, this is super smart to think of. This is like some people don't even look at it like this. It was wild, but like, this is some, like, Einstein creative badass shit, and everybody still always references Einstein, and I mean, and what he's done and all these great things, and I'm like, that's fantastic, but it's like, but this guy's pretty much like the new. I mean, this is like, think about it, when he's at a whiteboard, none of this existed. It was just Bitcoin, right? And then he's like, okay, well, you can't build dApps, you can't build anything on Bitcoin. The only thing that came out even after Ethereum was, first it was the inscriptions on Ethereum, and then somebody was like, oh, we can inscribe on the extra memory on the Satoshis on Bitcoin and put an image on that. And then ordinals were born, right? All these other things. And so you could, but going back to where, like, it wasn't Ethereum, that's the only thing you can build on Bitcoin, unless you're going to do other stuff like that companies are now breaking through with wrapping, but then it has to do with their servers, and it's not fully, like, chains actually, like, building on Bitcoin, right? You can't build on Bitcoin. There's no deployment of dApps or infrastructure you could put on there. It's just Bitcoin. Yeah. That's all it is. That's why Ethereum. So I was like, oh, Vitalik did some, like, Einstein shit. Like, this guy's had a whiteboard, made all this stuff. I'm like, imagine all the testing, everything he had to do to come up the first block explorer, the consensus. Just, there's so much crazy smart shit behind it. And if you go to the Ethereum EIP website, there's still the raw website from the day it was born, just updated, and they didn't, it's not like they're getting fancy, the UI, UX, nothing. No, they just, as new EIPs and stuff were born and created by developers or their team, and a mixture of both, and they're approved, then they get added to the EIP standards. And so that's where standards came along, right? Because you're like, okay, well, there's some sort of a sense of rule to this chaos, right? It's like, you can build, but you need to follow these standards, or your build won't work, right?
Yeah.
And it's still that way to this day. No matter what new chains, new protocols, anything, they're all built on the standards that they have to follow and do and require. Whether if they've mixed the standards together to create a new one, it still takes in all the original standards. So there's no getting past it, right? So there's basically creating, like, a fair playing ground, right? It's like, if you are the creator, and I'm just going to throw it out there, let's say it was just you for Solana Deads and certain things, I have the same equal playing field as you do as the creator of the Solana Deads and ecosystem, NFTs, the tools you offer, everything else, because you still followed the metadata standards and documents that come from Solana to deploy the token, the NFTs, everything that kind of goes down there. So it doesn't mean that you are above me. We're equal, right? And that's what I love about, like, just that. And so, yeah, after Ethereum came out, once I fully understood Bitcoin, I started building nonce miners. We talked about that. I had ant miners, and it was before they started selling, like, L3 pluses, SJ19s. I mean, all the models, right? You could think of. Now they got like even crazy like liquid cool ones. Now there's paperweights, but at the time I was mining tons of Bitcoin with them, right? Like tons and tons of Bitcoin. And so yeah, so I did that, and then when that became non-profitable, we saw that the world was complaining about the power consumption, and we were like, okay, well, and I'm like, okay, well, you guys are I get it, I get 100% of the power consumption. I'm not saying it's good, but if you look at the, let's say, Tesla factory, I'm like 24/7 of these other big factories that are running, they are doing about 100 times what that mining farm is doing every day. Are you gonna go shut them down? You know, like, are you going to tell them they need to find a better energy source? You know, and everything else. But the beautiful part about the blockchain is it's like nobody didn't ignore it. And they said, okay, went hard to work and came out with validating. Right. And now the mining get obsolete? No. But validating helped solve a lot of that, to where it made mining a little bit obsolete in a sense of, if you don't have a massive farm or are not producing big spots and wages on it, then it's not worth your time. If you're running a few ant miners on your electric bill, certain things like that, like it's a no bueno. Just go take your server and go validate for a few different chains, because that server is pulling now maybe an extra 10, 11 bucks a month on your power bill, only 120 watts, and it's low consumption. And you're validating and making money, and then redelegating and stacking up and becoming a trustworthy validator on lists. And so, yeah, I love that, man. And then I started building on Ethereum because of a lot of things there. EIP standards, creating new tools, finding stuff that, we have problems in, bridging those gaps. Instead of, I never chased the hype. I never looked at something and go, wow, look at all that money that one did. Let me put out that project. Let me do something like that. And oh, how are those guys so successful? We all know that most of the time this stuff is like insider jobs, certain things. We saw it with KOLs, right? I mean, that was like the biggest scam ever.
Oh God, yeah.
like, oh, hire me, man. And pay me like 20 grand. I'll make you a couple $100,000, but let's rug these guys afterwards or whatever else. Blah blah blah. And now when you hear the term KOL, or when somebody mentions it, or it comes across in your DMs, you get you just get like you cringe, right? You cringe. You're like, no thanks. And to this day, almost a year and 6 months of being public and live and base and everything else, we get messages all the time, and I can honestly say we have never paid for one X post, not one retweet and anything. So yeah, man, you just got to build. You just got to have a passion. You got to have a positive mind. And the one biggest thing about me is that I just want people to know, like, be able to know that there are trustworthy builders out there that are good people, that do have good morals. And like, I'm not the only one, right? We saw from Solana Deads with Rogue and you and I can't remember all their X names, but everybody on the team, right? And they are all there. They're all talking. They're very trustworthy people. So there are those people out there, but you really need to find them, and when you do find them, put them in your corner, because it's like finding a needle in the haystack. So people are good talkers, silver tongues, and so man, just build.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I love that I think you might be the first person that I've had on the podcast that's been here since day one, since you saw what blockchain was, and that there's not a lot of us that, I've been around for 4 cycles. I've known about Bitcoin since 2011, somewhere around there, but I didn't get into it till 2014, 2015. No, I was in it in 2013 for sure. Because I was still working at the my first IT job. I was a little support desk. Hi, I forgot my password. What's my password?
Did you try rebooting the computer?
Yeah, my internet's not working. What do you mean your internet's not working? The rest of the office is working. Damn it. But it's been interesting for me just to see where it's come from since 2011, 2010 there, when it really was starting to get some whispers in the wind there of what was coming. Obviously, I think a lot of the tech industry had their eyes on it first, people that were working directly in tech. To be honest, if I was working around, or if I was working heavier or deeper into blockchain, or not even blockchain, just Web 2 IT stuff, I probably would have started buying sooner. But I was young and learning kind of what I didn't have enough money, really to put in, which I mean, now in hindsight, even $5 would have been great.
I know. I know, right? You look at it and you're like, shit, I had that extra $50.
Yeah, one of my first stories was having a buddy of mine. I was just gaming, and he came to me and goes, "Hey, have you heard of this Bitcoin thing? I just put about $5,000 in it. It was extra money I have, bro. You got to put whatever you can into this Bitcoin stuff."
You remember what the price was?
$3.75.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was the first price I had seen. I went, dude, I don't have any extra money. I can't even get the video game I want next week, bro. And I was like, so I'm going to save up for that. My dumb ass saved up for a video game instead of buying Bitcoin.
And he made like millions?
So this friend went radio silent online after about $3,000 per Bitcoin. We had played games with him. We never really talked about it. He said he still had it when it was a few $100s. He said he still had it at $1,000, around 3,500. I remember being like, where did my friend go? That one guy's been off for like a week, 2 weeks, a month, 6 months, a year, and I was like, I think what happened is, you know how some people say that I'll never tell anyone when I sold, but there'll be signs. I think his sign was that he disappeared
like
somewhere. Yeah, he's like, I'm out of here.
My sign is like, I'm gone, bro. Like, it's ghost town now. I'm over here popping bottles on a beach. Like, I bought an island. I don't have any cell phone service. I'm putting up a tower. Getting I'm waiting for Starlink to come out.
Waiting
now
for
I got
Starlink
internet
to hit my island.
on my island. Yeah.
I love it. So, with that too, I want to dig a little deeper into one of the things you said. You found some emails, huh? When you first started looking into this, it's going from to NASA and the creator. So I'd actually love it if you're willing to talk about that. I'd love to know a little bit more about that story. What was happening, or what were you doing where you were able to see these emails, and kind of what was talked about that led you to go, oh, this is something before it's something.
Yeah, like I mean, I was when I was doing more ethical hacking too, and I didn't hack anything, right? But just following a lot of the I would say more at that times when there were more. What's the word I'm looking for? It wasn't like people were out there like today. People are sharing everything and certain things like YouTube videos or certain, right? And then they say, somebody comments and like, oh, can you teach me how to hack? And he's like, here's a site for documents, right? And certain things like that. So at the time we didn't have all the videos and everything else, so it was just a lot of research. And there was just sites I came across and certain tools, and I just started going down this rabbit hole, and after I would, open one door, it would lead to this like two other doors, and then it's like, I don't know how I did it or whatever else, like recollected 100%, but it was like I just chose the next every right door after the next doors that just kept multiplying, and then eventually I found this one site by this other hacker who had some like documentation that I ran through my programs to authenticate, and they came back as like legitimate, and they were like, I don't have the actual emails, but they are images of the emails of back and forth between the two, and there weren't that many emails either. I think there had to be like maybe 4 to 6 emails. It was kind of like he was saying, I'm going to use your secured hashing algorithm, 256 bits, which that's what SHA 256 stands for anybody who doesn't know. So it's 256 bits max, so forth, with +1. And he's like basically like saying, oh well, I'm gonna use it, but almost slightly asking for permission, but didn't care what they responded with, right? And it's just like that's kind of how I read it, and I still remember it to this day. And I was like, okay, all right, this guy's on to something, right? And for that one person to sit there, because you got to sit there and like not just think about that concept, but like let's think back to like OpenSea, right, being the first biggest marketplace, everything, like the person that can sit back and conceptualize that based on the raw docs and the like we're talking about at the time where you didn't have all these links or YouTube videos and all this stuff. It was literally trial by fire and error by you doing over and over again and reading docs. That's what these people were doing. These are brilliant people that were reading these docs and going coming up with all of this stuff and going, well, we use Foundry, these things. And to be able to do something that big and conceptualize that, and it's not capped and still growing and expanding and expanding and expanding as new shit is coming out that they can bring in and adopt. It's like Tesla. You're like, are you from this planet? You know, like so it's the same thing of how I look at it with Satoshi. It's like, okay, well, holy crap, this guy changed everybody's lives, like
changed the face of
no matter what. It'll probably be in history books as, you know, people are flying around like the Jetsons or whatever, right? You know, that'd be at school. Oh, well, did you know that the Bitcoin, and at that time, it might be like a couple $1 million or something. I don't know, or maybe more, you know, like, but it like, it's kind of wild, right? We see it. And I think it's just, yeah, it's just absolutely blows my mind how somebody can just, you know, see something like I would have never thought of like taking that like where I would even start to say, okay, well, that secured hashing algorithm, and I'm like, for communications, I can turn that into like the first ever long lasting, never dying out cryptocurrency that will power like everything in the Web3 realm and like financial wise. And it is, if you think about it, it's almost like a here you go, drop the mic moment, load up my wallet and disappear and watch to see if it changes the world, right? And it really has, right? And like imagine I'm just sitting back going, whoever else knows, you know, cheers, told you, you know, like seeing Federal Reserves being backed by all this other stuff, like, and knowing that, because and if you look at it this way too, though, you know, the law still hasn't changed, but you know, it does say why anything else, which is bullcrap, right? Federal Reserve, but it's our money. But you can't like make your own currency, offer their currency and certain things, and like, it's a big no-no or whatever else federally and stuff like that. But so it's basically he did that, dropped the mic, walked away, and to see what happens, and it essentially just proved the point that everything else around you is like scammed, rigged, and broken, and this is dominating. This is fixing, and then for them to come around and not try to, you know, they did try to attack it, shut it down, and everything, right? But now, as we see in them coming and conforming to it, so they're never going to admit that it's okay, but they're going to adopt it and use it. It's kind of like Schedule 1 drugs. They will never take marijuana off of there, admit they're wrong, because then that means that everything else that went down for the past 100 years or so, they will be tried by fire for, right? And that's the sad part we live in with today's world. It's that you can't admit you're wrong, and if you can't admit you're wrong, then I can't trust you. You know, you don't grow as a person or anything else. Like how, like just admit you're wrong, and if people come after you, they sue you for being put away for a long time, all this other stuff, everything else. So be it, man. I have to pay the price for anything I do wrong. You pay the price for, you know, anything you do wrong. I mean, if you don't have to, then nobody else, you know, has to, or you don't learn a lesson. So that's what I've really taken from those emails to now, and just going, time flies. We're sitting here, what, almost 17 years later, 18 years later. It's crazy. You don't even realize it. Bam. You're 36 years old. You know,
yeah, dude, fact. In the same boat.
Look where we are now, man. You know, like, wish you would have saved up for that instead of the game now, don't you?
Oh, brother, don't even get me started. There's so many times I'm like, if I would have not bought that new computer for 1 year. Yeah, I used to build a new computer every year. So I was one of those people too. It's like, oh, new graphics card year, new computer time.
Tower.
Oh yeah, always towers. I've always built my own. From my first my computer that I had in my life. I think I was 21. That was like my first non-laptop, and it was the first gaming computer. All of that was important to me to understand how to build that, how to do it myself, and but realistically now looking back, the computers I built, they last 5 to 10, 12 years. Actually, my first build is still running in my brother-in-law's house. So the first
Really?
computer I built at 21, minus thermal paste and a couple of upgrades, the motherboard and the processor are still running everything, So
Wow.
with that, it's just, I wish I would have bought some Bitcoin. Maybe got a budget build instead of a nice build, but in hindsight, you can always say this or that. And it was speculative. Like you said, it wasn't easy to buy back in the day. It wasn't easy to get into it. A lot of people lost money through transactions back in the day because things would fail or it wouldn't go through, and they would think they lost something, or they didn't know where to send it, and the address was wrong, and there's just so many things with that. I love that you were able to be a part of this inception moment, though. That you were able to kind of come across what was happening with Bitcoin itself, and it's a digital asset vehicle that's never been seen before. This is a way for us we understand that it's the fastest way to send asset in the world right now. It's the most, honestly, in my opinion, it's more secure than sending a lot of money other ways to people in other places, using Washington Mutual, using MoneyGram and things like this. Honestly, Bitcoin is going to take that over. I think that you're going to
charge you fees, right?
and large fees, dude. Washington
large
Mutual
fees.
costs you more. Sometimes it costs you more to send than what you were sending to somebody. The fees would be so high. And so, especially during certain times, and because of the way that blockchain technology works, and all of the nodes around the world that are going on at once, we have this ability to send such a cheaper transaction, even though we did deal with gas fees, which actually maybe we'll make that kind of our next little talking point, talking about Ethereum. Because with everything we've talked about, your intro into this, you saw Bitcoin, you explained kind of this infancy of it all. That led us to finding out at first gas fees, electrical costs were going to cost money on blockchain, right? And so we see people in the past that were paying more. For me, especially even in the 2020, 2021 cycle, there was times where I saw a token coming out or a utility coming out that I wanted to get into, but that cost me. If I wanted to buy $100 of that token, I had to spend $250 because gas fees are high.
Almost at one point made no sense to trade a token.
100%. I stopped
you
trading.
You buy $20 worth of your gas cost $100 at the time, and you're like, all right, I'm negative $80 already. It's like, it's like, all right, well, what makes sense on this trade? It really does. Yeah, dude. Yeah, sorry.
So
yeah, go ahead.
No, you're good, dude. With that though, it was this bad. It really was. It was like this. Well, I'm gonna take 100% hit on this initial buy, knowing that I should make 5x, 10x, hoping that I make 5x, 10x. And then that makes the $100 I paid to buy the 100 worth it. And you had to play these almost mental games with yourself. And then 99% of it went to back down 95% or 100% of its own value anyways. So with that,
it could have been the next day when the Chinese were sleeping. So all you had to do is just be a little bit patient,
Yeah,
but
100%, dude. Yeah, that's the other thing too. I think a lot of us did learn that if we did our transactions when I had to go pee at 2 a.m, it was a really good time to also check my MetaMask and get some buys in. I still did that with D-Bros when I first got in last year. The gas fees are still not as bad, but they were still up. I knew I could save 40, 50, sometimes 80% of my gas fees by just buying it when I had to go pee, and so that's why I did it. But with that said, and talking about gas fees, transactions, and how blockchain works, talking about how Bitcoin is not something to be built on, it's an asset reserve, which we talk about a lot. We'll probably do a podcast that's just about what that means as an asset. But that is what, you were talking about Vitalik and the genius, the Einstein-ness of seeing what he saw in being capable with what Bitcoin had. And I love that there's two separate of these layer ones that are so contrast in the sense of can't being built, hard to build on, easier to build on. Because I believe that we need both of these assets. We need to have a reserve that can just continually grow, doesn't need to do much special except for hold value like gold does, but it's digital. And then that led you to finding Ethereum and building Decentral Bros on that layer one. So with that said,
L2,
L2 because you guys are on base, but yes, building off of that L1 into an L2 with what you guys are doing. When did you first see Ethereum? What led you to the building moment where you said, okay, this is what I want to build on. This seems like something that's doable and realistic for what I have envisioned. What was Ethereum's first impression for you? And then what led to you building on that and choosing it as your, the layer to then put your layer 2 on? What made you choose that decision?
Yeah, let me see if I can find it real quick. Hold on.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I was trying to find that original book, but we didn't have just there was like the EIP site and certain things, but I had bought like so many books on Ethereum. It was like so many books on Ethereum, and I remember one of the first ones I bought. Man, wicked long time ago, probably about maybe a year after Ethereum was out, and it was on Amazon.
And what year was by these two for everyone? Roughly.
And I don't remember.
Okay.
It has to be like 10, it has to be like 9 years ago, because isn't it like 10 years old for Ethereum at this point? I think it's 10.
Yeah.
No, isn't it? Yeah.
Going on. I think
it's a 10-year birthday. 11. Yeah, I think we're getting closer to 11 as I remember. I had I had notifications on for certain things, and I remember somebody saying like maybe 6 months ago or something that they were like, happy birthday, happy 10-year birthday. I think it was Jesse Pollock that said a 10-year birthday for Ethereum L1, right?
Yeah.
And it's the backbone of everything that's built, even L2. So L2s wouldn't exist without Ethereum. So regardless of whatever we talk here about like gas prices or bashing or anything, it wouldn't exist without it.
Of course.
So
it's just a
part. But yeah, I would have like this.
I was just gonna say, like in the gas thing, yeah, I don't want anyone to take away from this podcast that like it was a negative connotation of what Ethereum is. This is just a part of technology and futurization and growth. It had to start somewhere, which meant yes, it cost more at first, but now we even we have WETH, we have so many different ways for gas fees to be cheaper. It was just the infancy, so definitely don't want anyone to also think that we were negatively speaking about gas fees. It's just a part of the institution's growth of the way all of this happened. Banks and all that charge fees too. They still were charging more sometimes than the gas fees of Ethereum. So yeah, definitely not bashing it, but it is definitely the infancy of Ethereum was that it's expensive to build on or to buy on. But then it started to change. We saw the growth and evolution of Ethereum, and now it's generally cheap to move your money around on that, and the gas fees have become way better.
That's just wild. So even when I got one of this older book, so basically it was 9 years ago, and this other one was I bought. This book is 9 years old too, so I bought them both at the same time, and it's called like basically mastering Ethereum, so building like smart contracts and dApps, right? Because there was like EIP standards, but there wasn't too much out there on the web and all these other things. So, of course, they would give repos and stuff in here and everything else, and kind of really break down everything from the smart contracts and Solidity to wallets, transactions, Ethereum clients, the cryptography that we discussed, like what is Ethereum's basics. And even in here you can see like the old block scouts, right? Is it like they would show like example pictures, but I ain't like that anymore. But like there's super old block scouts. I don't know how white out it is, but you can like really just see how it's like this is like original, like old school. Even the wallets in here too and everything. It's kind of crazy when I go back through. I'm looking at this MetaMask wallet and this transaction. and it's like something that wasn't even an extension. It was just like it was something that you had like download in your computer. No, like nobody has the pain of this today, but we would have to run Truffle. Truffle Suite on a program I download on my desktop that would spin up 10 nodes and give me 1,000 test ETH per nodes, and I would have to connect that manually to my MetaMask wallet and then process transactions that would go through it and then link that through like the config in my build. It was a lot of like a full 3-round circle. And nowadays, like people don't like, it's great that I love it how it's gone and gotten easier, but people don't have to deal with that pain or anything anymore, right? They could just I could build a hard hat scaffold and say and run yarn fork, and it'll fork mainnet, give me those 10 accounts with 1,000 test ETH a piece, and just use those right there through a forked node I just spun up, right? Like it was not like that back at the time you were building and doing stuff. It was very, very tough, and you were like, why isn't this truffle work or anything else? But yeah, I mean, overall, this is what really helped me get through a lot were these books and stuff that I built, that I bought and everything else too, because these people they give access to kind of some of their code repos. It would be like little aha moments to where, I'd be like, okay, yeah, that's why that's not doing that. And it was, I remember the first book I bought, the first one before this is my second, but the first one I'm going to find it and I'll send you a picture of it with the author. But what they proposed inside of it was going, and this was the first ever that was built. It was a fully decentralized, like, fundraising, like donation kind of thing. And it was like, and it had full donation code, everything else, but it was so basic. It looked like some HTML stuff, right? Like I'm telling you this because we didn't have it. Stuff was still being built with the wallets in HTML, JavaScript. We didn't have Next.js, we didn't have Vite, we didn't have all these fancy frameworks, like so in the progression that we have, which is fantastic for security and quickness and everything. But yeah, there was these were a big help because I would go, oh cool, and then they would share their repo. Of course it was licensed, so if you try to redo it and put it on production or whatever, I mean it'll really set it in the repo and in the book. But the whole point of it was to understand, like, oh look at this, oh wow, I had this thought about that, and these guys built this one here where I can donate to this animal shelter or whatever, right? We hear in spaces stuff all the time, and then now we have the giving block, all this other stuff that was all born off of like these guys who figured it out on their own, like building on this old scaffold and framework. So to me, it's just I get an ultimate high from it and building and everything because there's so much new tools and tech that come out from people nowadays, and it almost like it gets a little overwhelming now. Now there's too much data. Now there's too many links. Now who's right, who's wrong, who's implementing something that I think is good and ultimately pans out to be really bad in a year or two. And now I have sites or protocols running on it, and what's my backup plan to migrate from that, and all these other things. So I think that launch pads are like look, that's great, but they're a problem, right? In a sense, because people depend on them in other aspects. Like, oh well, what if this one launch pad you're using to do NFTs, they just decide they're done. Maybe they don't sell off, they don't do anything, but you paid for that service or whatever extra money and percentage, they got their cut, so they would store your images because the images, this is where I think a lot of people need to understand too, is there's still big problems that need to be solved. Instead of looking at all this new tech, this new hype, transact in private. Okay, well, we need to solve this storage problem. That's one of the biggest things right now that we need to solve in Web3 is the storage. And that's because everything's on the IPFS. Okay, well, cool. Well, if you're not running your own nodes or IPFS, which is still, you'd have to keep those nodes up. And those nodes, if you don't have them up, and then maybe a new update comes for IPFS that you need to be able to go in the code and change, or maybe they're like, like people are like, what's a pinning service? Well, that was one of the updates where you can pin stuff. If you didn't pin an item on IPFS, it would disappear from a duplicate over a period of 90 days, and then it would cease to exist. It happens still to this day where somebody's like, I still have the NFT in my wallet, but there's no image, there's no metadata. That's because, and I just want to stress this, everybody knows in the podcast here and stuff too, that's why I'm very picky about what projects I buy into or buy NFTs from or anything else, because yeah, the artwork may hit me, but do you think that owner is going to sit there and pay $20 for the rest of his life so you can have that NFT in your wallet?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
he's not going to. And that's what I'm saying with what I mean by there's a problem. Use these launch pads like Launch My NFT, all this sort of stuff. They pan out to be, let's just say, hypothetically, doing something wrong, this and that, or they just don't want to pay for it. Imagine the mass scale of what they have there. Now, I know sometimes you can say you can provide your own IPFS, yes, but a lot of people don't. They don't know what that is or what they're doing or how to make sure it's correct on the metadata to the images and all that good stuff. So they're going to use their generative tools. And when you use those, it's being stored on their server. And after that, it's going to their IPFS. And then it's being duplicated over nodes. Okay, well, they go away. So does your collection. So does everything that's with it. Does that mean the NFT disappears in your wallet, like the actual token itself? Like, let's say it's token ID 447. No, that'll still be in your wallet, but there won't be any metadata. There won't be any images. So that's honestly, it's like just really understanding certain factors. And I probably went way left field there. I'm sorry, but
perfect. We need to talk about these things.
Yeah,
it's important. That's what I like about these long form is we can take this time to kind of explain not only what we're doing, what we see, what our experience is, but what people need to be careful of. And like you said, if one of these launchers was to disappear, even OpenSea, right? It's a big one, but obviously, if it was to disappear, could you imagine how catastrophic that would be for the actual crypto
space itself? Everyone, right? How many
100%.
people have NFTs on OpenSea? They were the first original OGs. That's 90% of the market, maybe even 95. You know, it's like, yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. And I know you asked that original question, and I probably ran way off left
No,
field
you
with it,
didn't.
but
No, you honestly you led me into, one, the importance of understanding if you're going to launch a collection, what that entails. It doesn't just mean you're going to have some cool art. It doesn't mean that you're just going to have a cool utility. It means that you need to understand the infrastructure. You need to understand the technology itself before rushing into something, because you could have a great idea and then shoot yourself in the foot before you start by doing something, uploading data wrong, or your metadata is off, or anything. Any of these little things can be a trigger to a lot of us in this industry, because we've been around it so long and we have been hurt by all these things. So when we get hurt by something, we don't do it again. We're not doing the definition of insanity out here and trying to make the same mistakes twice. We make adjustments when we find out these things happen, which means that we don't invest in a lot of other projects because they don't have that backbone or that foundation laid that needs to be there to prove that, okay, I can see this lasting. I can see this sticking around and being here for that long haul. Which, that leads me into a perfect segue, Justin. Um, you know, with good projects, looking for the right ones to invest in and hold. I have found that Decentral Bros is one of my favorite and most trusted projects and brands, because what you guys are doing which we talk about this, and we could go into a whole nother podcast because you and I are going to have more than one of these. But talking about that utility side, or what needs to be done in a project with that, I think that Decentral Bros really has built something that is strong, something that has a lot of use and a lot of foundational backing and support to itself, to be able to facilitate. So many people want to give passive income and passive rewards to their holders, but they don't create a ecosystem that can facilitate that monetary value that it needs to continually have
remain
to pay
sustainable.
everyone. Yes, exactly. And people will eventually, and it might not have happened yet because everything is so early, but a lot of these projects are going to run out of funds to be able to pay their returns, and that's going to end up siphoning a project. So with that said, Decentral Bros is one of those projects that does not do that, and that I love about them, is that Justin has so much care in that realm of this, that we need to build something that actually helps others, and also facilitates what a healthy ecosystem in whole looks like. So With that said, that it'll lead me into, you picked Ethereum and a layer two. You created a layer two inside the layer one. So I want to talk about Decentral Bros now and your journey as a company. What was the inception moment of Decentral Bros? What was I'm going to do Decentral Bros. This is what's going to happen. And then what led you to choosing to make a layer two, to have everything about your system? And let's talk about what Decentral Bros is and what it offers to the blockchain.
Yeah. First question again was,
what was the inception moment of Decentral Bros? What made you pick Decentral Brothers and going into that layer two decision?
It was around the time that, the whole presidency was going, right? It was like Trump versus Biden, and then Biden just got like slapped to the side, replaced by Kamala, and certain things. But like, okay, yeah, because like, we were doing stuff like we were Decentral Bros at that time, but we weren't public. When I was sitting there, I was like, it started out like my original email is the contact Code Bros, right? So it was like Code Bros at first, right? And certain things. And then I was like, all right, well, I want to be able to encompass like everything under like one name and umbrella, and not just like saying just us, but you're a Decentral Bro. I mean, if you rock in the decentralized world, you're Decentral Bro. I mean, if we look at some of the tech companies back in the day, even as Facebook was born and started getting massive, and Mark Zuckerberg buying that college land and people living there, what did they call themselves? Tech bros. Like that's what they like. Literally, it was like you're there, you're working in tech, you're a tech bro. Oh, you're at home and you're working on a computer, working in tech, you're tech bro. It was like this label that went around, right? And the same thing. So, I actually got tired of like just people hearing people in spaces that would talk and not in other people. They're just so gaslit by it because they don't see the holes when I did. But they would always blanket Web3 over everything. They'd be like, oh, I do this full time in Web3 and I do this and this is how I do this. I'm like, that's not Web3. It's what are you doing? What are you talking about? And it was just this blanket. I just and I wouldn't get angry, but I would just be like, what are you saying? I led in the listener, and I'm over here just like in my head like, this person just stopped talking. And I was like, you know what? We could say it's decentralized. We can say it's, it does have that label and everything 100% to it. So I was like, we're going to change. We're just going to go from Code Bros to Decentral Bros, and hired a guy on Fiverr to create the logo. Well, I mean, I first started with that kind of like more yellowish green lightning bolt that I made on Canva. And then when it came out of that from Code Bros, I hired a guy on Fiverr and I said, hey, this is what I'm kind of looking for. This kind of like lightning theme, but make it look kind of like techie, computer chippy. Like we do, here's what we do for like work and decentralized, and here's our name. And came back with a few different options, and I was like, yeah, that's it. As you can see, like around our bolt or whatever, right? It's kind of like a computer chip with the little lines and the circles, and then even inside the bolt. So that's when that was born, and then decided to go public. When I saw like this podcast of Elon Musk just saying, I just throw a punch. If it goes my way, that's fantastic. But if it doesn't, then I'll figure it out. And I was like, all right, cool. So I was like, well, I'm going to throw a punch and in the direction that say hope Trump wins, and then we're going to see less regulations and more adoption. And I'm also prepared that if he doesn't win, that now we're going to go back to my Ethernet port turning into a security, that process, because it doesn't even have to be a token that's worth nothing sitting in my wallet, and SEC is trying to get me and everything else. I guess my Wi-Fi chip, my Wi-Fi adapter, and my Ethernet port on my computer are now considered as securities. And I'll, hey, we're public now. Let's lay under the radar again. Mm-hmm. But it worked out in our favor, right? And then that allowed us to have that spurt of growth, and then creating the striped on-chain payments and so forth. So that's how it essentially really started. Got like the lift off. Was able to be more public about it, to then start expanding to everything that I had in line for visions and everything for it. Nothing was random. I understood everything that was going on, and like political to regulations to what was going to happen if he didn't win, what might possibly happen if he did, and where that could line up and lead, and building in that direction, not just whatever came to mind or all these certain things. I would say, okay, well, the regulations lightened up over here on that. All right, cool. Well, I'm not going to follow that hype and this AI train and all this other stuff. I'm going to solve this problem here and give, the Stripe to on-chain payments. And we see Coinbase is doing that now too, where they're doing the same thing where they're like, it's going to be where you're going to be able to go everywhere. You don't have to use your Visa and your bank and your USD card to buy lunch with just that. You'll have multiple options of spending whatever cryptocurrency you want. You earning cash back in cryptocurrency, so forth, right? So they're doing it now for the past year. Fantastic. So they and the same thing, that they're a big company and they have plans, right? So everybody should be doing the same thing. They should understand what's there. It's that don't focus on the hype, and then align yourself with that, and build in that direction and do your best in it, and don't give up on it and excel in it, because if you're just following the hype or money, then you can't tell me why you chose that chain. Now you're stuck there and you're limited, all these other things. And it makes me less confident in you, because everybody calls himself a dev nowadays, right? Dev's cooking. Yeah. He launched off of a launch pad. He's not a dev. Yeah. Like, and I'm not bashing on it. Anything else, but yeah, so that's how we were essentially, born to like going public. And the second question was like how it came to like the L2s and made our home. And that was building at Eat Denver in 2023. I was wore out on the 5th day in, 2 days left. And I was probably about up for the past almost, I would say, probably 32 hours. And they had these giant bean bags that were down there that the devs just like, you leave your computer, put it on lock, and it's pretty safe, right? Because you have like people like judges, mentors. It's always like 24/7, and the devs can stay there just a bit. And so I'd pop on one of those bean bags and just took like an hour nap. And when I woke up, I was had to go to the bathroom and I was hungry. I said, you know what? I'm going to go walk around the public side. And I'm glad I did. Like I said, everything happens for a reason, right? And then got up, boom, started to walk around the public side. You have a builder's badge. This is what they look like. I have tons of them because I build every single year. So, love that. There's that one. Look, here's the one where, like 2023 I was telling you about. And then this is where I actually met Califia at Eat Denver. And, they signed my builder badge and all the other builder badges. So for every single year. But when they see the badges of like builder, all the big companies and booths, they're, hey, we want to talk to you, so I remember walking past Solana, just like, I gave them a little of my attention, and right next to them was the Coinbase booth, and there was something big going on. I was like, cameras, there's like people over there getting nonstop interviews, look like some, sitting in chairs, big wigs, whatever. There was these pamphlets. I walked in there, picked up one, reading it. The lady behind the desk, little help desk there, came over and says, "Oh, builder, excellent. Yeah, did you hear about what we're doing here? Anything else?" I'm like, "No. What do you guys got?" She's like, "Oh yeah, well, we should definitely take our dev survey, and if you pass it, we'd like to have some Zoom calls with you, because we are launching our own chain called Base on L2 OP optimism stack, so forth." I was like, "Okay, interesting." And I was like, they actually want to hear my feedback and certain things to make it better. I was like, we'll see how, see if this is right. See if this is actually what they're saying they're going to do. And I did it, right? I had calls with them. I waited. Mainnet hit, and they really did listen. They did everything. They, they got them the feedback, and I waited probably about 4 months just to see, because I didn't know it could just turn away that they promised, but I didn't like, or a different direction, and it didn't. So that's where we made our home, was on that. At that point was Base L2 for Dbro and our entire ecosystem and everything being built out from that point, but strategically. So, and they've upheld to every single one of their promises and delivered 100 times more this day, and they still keep doing it. So that's why we exist on Base and at L2 versus other chains. We could have chose Arbitrum, they were at the time, OP, Optimism, because base is built on the OP stack, right? It's not like so and so forth. But again, those would have been the wrong chains to choose.
Yeah.
So it's patience, it's understanding. It's I could have just followed a hype and been like, gotta get this out, gotta get over here. Well, then that would have put a label on us to say, well, don't you guys have this token over here or this over here? So why did you do this? And I had to worry about migrating before there were good bridges, trusting these sketchy wormhole sites, or building something of my own. Sometimes you really just got to take a step back. I mean, look, like I said, we made our own stablecoin. I really wanted that to go. Well, once I found out that there was no longer any grants or certain things for it, or it wasn't needed, and Coinbase and Base really wanted to drive just USDC, and then I realized the legal money and paperwork. I said, I could have pulled the trigger and it would have been out there and it would have been dead, useless, dumb. People would have been like, well, you got the stable and then you got, this other token. So what's going on? Worry about all the buybacks or anything else. And, but I just let it sit there on the build and it was just ready to go. Right. And then now I know that, hey, cool. It's built, it's done, but it's never going to go live now because I don't need it. Right. So,
Yeah.
it's okay. It's okay to do it. It's okay to chill out, like, so
okay
that's where we are now. Yeah.
It's okay to take a step back and double check everything or watch, like you said, and watching.
There's a right time for everything.
Exactly.
And time will tell you if it's right or not.
Mm-hmm. So. Universe speaks. You just got to listen. Sometimes listening means you got to be patient. And I love the way that your guys, I brought some stuff up on the screen a little bit earlier while you were talking too. I brought up the your guys' main page and the staking page with the rewards. You guys annually right now 30% APY rate on your rewards in your guys' system, and you have a lot of facilitation that goes on inside that system for the for your pool to not shrink while you're still gaining that income so that you can pay these constant rewards, so that you can facilitate a healthy ecosystem economically. A lot of people, I think, get into
effortlessly too, and without
yes.
Robbing people's wallets or pockets, right? So
yeah, it's not like you're heavily taxing everyone in your system to then give them the same money you're taking from them back, type thing. It's really a self-sufficient ecosystem, and like you said, it's effortless because the system does everything itself. And I'll let you talk a little bit about it too, but I wanted to also lead into, you guys have your ecosystem, the hybrid staking ecosystem for D-Bros. What I want to know a little bit about what goes into all of that to have it facilitate the way it does, to have it work the way it does. And with that too, you guys also have an online store and you guys can pay ETH to have physical things. So I kind of want to get into a little bit of what you guys offer
ETH
there.
and USDC. Yeah.
I love that. So what I want to go into first, and I'll pop it up on the screen here, is the D-Bro staking system, the way that your ecosystem works. I'd like people to get to know it a little bit better. So I'm going to pop it up on the screen, the staking page. I'll let you talk a little bit about what all is encumbersome in this. How does this all tie together? How did you build this for people to be able to see this, 30% annual APY right now? And obviously all of this can expand and grow the bigger your ecosystem gets.
Yeah, and before you share the screen, just to actually you can go ahead and share it, but to say how it took me 4 months before I even launched. Actually, it was like 4 or 5 months before I launched the staking, right? Just perfecting it and testing it because I didn't want a standard staking. I wanted something completely different, right? It goes back to this whole copy paste thing out there. People would come to me and say, I want to do this build, and I'm like, well, what makes you different than this, that, and this? And they're like, oh, well, we have this. I'm like, that doesn't make you different. That's just a twist, right? So you didn't come up with anything new. You just threw this little like a twist in there that just maybe it starts a pool or does this. I mean, that's not anything different. And I found this and everybody's gonna know them now. The Rift on X, right? And it was before they were even out or live or anything else. Where I ran into Jordan through some other investors that I knew. Oh, that's what it was. I was doing a build for one of Trump's friends, Juan. I used to, when I get on a call with them, I'd be like, takes Juan to know Juan. And I,
like
I know. He was funny, dude. He was like a comedian. He's like, I imagine this big old man. Every time I look at him, he'd be like this big old mafia guy with a cigar in his mouth, or he'd be on like a video camera and flying around like every minute, every day. And then he'd be at his place in Hawaii, and he'd be standing in there at the. You could see like the hard lava that turned into rock right at the beach line of this beautiful thing and everything else. But as we know, at politicians, there's always 10 people involved. And when we were doing that, and it was just a chaotic thing in a build, we were building a token that was going to be used in Trump's casinos and everything else and so forth. And then Trump was like, oh, well, if this turns out good, we'll have you guys build something for us. And, they kind of went down, it disappeared when this whole political stuff started happening to getting Trump to win the presidency. But that's how I met Jordan, was through one of those guys that knew somebody else through there and so forth. And then I had a call with Jordan, and I was like, okay, let's see this protocol. And I'm all about, like, again, it was something different. It was new. It was taking different EIP standards and creating something different. So I already caught my attention because I know it's going to be different. And the only way for me to find out it's going to be different is to see under the hood, right? And once I kind of like looked at everything, really got to dial into a few meetings. A few weeks later, kept talking. A few months, kept talking. Then he introduced me to one of his devs. Really great guy, super down to earth, chill, American older gentleman, probably in his 50s, but a great, smart, intelligent guy. And once that happened, Jordan said, "Oh, do you want to invest in our seed fund?" So we did. We were actually one of the original seed fund investors of like 5K into Rift because I believed in it. So once I was able to invest, I was able to see more under the hood, like the code factors, everything else. And I was like, we were one of the first, actually, it was that feshing game. The feshing game was the first one that was big on X. Remember, it was like you would go out on a boat and you'd fish, and then you would catch like certain NFTs that were wrapped with like certain values, and you'd be able to throw them back or keep them or whatever, right? And it was called feshing or something. That was the first one using the protocol, but built by them. And I said, okay, we were the second ones to exist using the protocol. And I said, okay, I want to take this protocol and create a whole new staking era with it. And that's how, our self-sustaining kind of system was born, was leveraging the wrapping system, which led to like, thresholds, to values, to self-sustaining, reoccurring, reward fees, auto-generating, the whole 9 yards. That's it for about 4 months. And then when we felt it was 100%, we released it. So that's how, essentially, I just want you to know how it was born. It wasn't just like me coming up with 100% of everything, but, it was seeing what they had. And then I, created the other protocol, which is, all the standards you use for staking, and just mix theirs with the staking, coming up with a system that worked.
I love that. And I actually put it up so that I can see you and your hybrid staking ecosystem.
Okay.
So you see the reward pool, the total wrap, APY.
What site do you have up? What's the domain?
It's your decentralbros.dev staking.
Yeah, if you want, you can go to the www.dbro.dev. It's going to be like that's our utility site. That's completely fine, but the dbro.dev is a hybrid that we built, and the new thing that we presented the base, which is a dApp and 2 mini apps all in one, right? So it's a dApp and a web version, but also has mini app built into it, so it'll run as mini apps within Farcaster in the base app. But so here if you're looking at the site here, right, like you can see like even the things I just updated the other day, just finished coding and pushed out, and I put on X, is we got sponsorship from Coinbase, which is fantastic. Like, we applied and they approved us, and they gave us about, I think it was like $1,200 in credits. And so with that sponsorship and that now, I mean, you already know this, right? And you said, hey, they're long term, I invest in them, I'm staking, I'm earning 30% APY. Well, at one point when our market cap was $500,000, we saw tweets we were doing, people are earning almost $100 every 32 days with 5 million staked, right? Yeah. Claiming that everything. And if that goes up to $1 million, it was funny. I was talking to a buddy the other night. He's like, hey, if that hits this mark that I want it to, he goes, that could be $450 every 32 days. I'm like, yeah, well, I don't care. And we'll never change it. Anything else is a fixed rate. We can't change it. We know because it's self-sustaining. If people are doing that, our token supply is 425 million, 8 decimals, and everything we build is 100% custom. The token contracts that were all built from scratch and coded from scratch and deployed, everything. I mean, everything we do is 100% custom. There's no launch pads involved. I will never deploy something that comes from somebody else's reliability, because everything we have and that's running depends on our servers and our sites and our domains and everything to be up, and our sustainability. There's no single point of failure in between us. So if we're depending on this one site and they go down and something stops working, we don't want that. We don't want to have that. So we try to eliminate as many single points of failure as possible, right? By building everything ourselves. And so after getting the credits from Coinbase, I implemented them into this new dApp and mini app. And it's not integrated on the other site yet, the decentralbros.dev. I haven't made it there. But you can actually get sponsorship in 2 different ways here. If you don't have native ETH, you can actually pay gas with any ERC20. So the ERC20 will be sponsored and then converted into USDC, and then the gas fees of that covered by us from the credits of Coinbase. So, like, if you're on the staking page, do anything else, and I post in the video, you can see me and I can say stake. And if I hit the little menu and drop down now, it'll say stake ETH or stake USDC. And so that means that if I don't have native ETH, I don't have to go and buy it, convert it, send it, blah, blah, blah. I can just select USDC and then pay for the gas with, using Coinbase's protocol of paying gas with any ERC20. And then the gas is sponsored from us, right? So everything in our ecosystem has already been 100% free. We have never made money from anybody in our ecosystem. No fees, nothing. If you look at it, when you see like a trading fee of 1% on buy and sell, that goes straight to the rewards wallet, which the rewards wallet has always been around 33 million and above, nothing below. Yeah, and it's been running for almost a year and 6 or 4 months or something like that, right? And it's just it's going to sustain for another 4 to 5 years and possibly even longer. And if you unstake, yeah, you'll see a fee and you're like, well, I thought you said it was free. Yeah, but that fee doesn't go to us, doesn't go to anybody else. It goes right to that rewards pool, right? So your incentive is to stay staked and keep earning this high value, because there's only a scarcity amount of DBRO in circulation. And we've seen that as it even gets to $500,000 market cap and only about 68 million left in the pool. If you do the math, about only 60 to 70 people can get a max stake of 55 million at that time to get that high return rate. And that makes it very scarce, very rare. And when they're locked up, the price stays in that couple $1 million MC range, and people are making a couple $100 every 32 days. And then if we look at the calculator I put on here, that's like, if I have 5 million staked, that's 3K DBRO a day. That's 32. I can claim every 32 days. That's 11 times a year I can claim, equaling 1.1 million DBRO. And as I'm earning that and doing anything, I can cash out some of it and sell it, right? Because I'm already max stake. And when I get that back, now there's more tokens in circulation for other people to buy in. Now, maybe at a higher price in certain things, but there's tokens going back that will be available for somebody else to then stake. And as all this is constantly circling, at 1% every single time on anything that happens in the ecosystem, that happens on buying and selling, goes right to the rewards pool. So it's self-sustaining, and there's lots of ways that we build with all of our utilities that brings 1% always back to that reward pool. So, I mean, you already have free on everything in our ecosystem, and then now we're paying for the gas for you. So like you literally have everything for free, It's like, how can you complain about something like that? It's like, we're not taking a single dime. We're not going, where's our cut? Anything else, nothing at all. I really enjoy building what we do, everything. We make money in other ways. And when people believe in our stuff and use our stuff, there's a lot of other things that come with it than just staking and giving you something back. Like if we scroll down, we see staking benefits and utilities. I am working on some other builds right now in utilities that will be released here as well. But we have some IRL utilities. We have, as you know, we've done live buildathons. We taught at the Stanford College in LA for 2 weeks in a Web3 bio class right there with those guys using our utilities. We taught with, Big Man was in one of our classes, right? Envision was in one of our classes, and quite a few others we know that did that complete build. And they even got benefits from it, right? Like having the 2 NFTs, the class was only $120 and they got it for $45. And when we were said and done and built, they did a little, fun mint of their project, and most of them got $100 back when they minted out 10 NFTs. So they made their money back already and double, 1.5%. Plus, they got about $12,000 worth of code they walked away with and knowledge. So it's like there's a lot of value there. We got our Dbro store that you were talking about, which we have. I mean, crap, if I can drag my camera with me, I'd show you. But right outside my door here, I mean, it's not like those GPUs are just put on there from images that are online. No, I got my little Amazon photo booth, everything out there. But every single one of those GPUs, I think I like 70 in stock, from 30 or 270 Supras to 1080 Ti's to Founder 3090, 24 gigabytes to 3080s, the whole 9 yards, power supplies, motherboards, CPUs. So the stuff that's on there, we really do have, and everything that's there. So you save money there too. So if you present 2 Dbro wrapped NFTs, the savings you get there is like, I think, half off, right? So it's like, I think it's like, I can't remember. I haven't been there in a while, but I think it could be anywhere from 30 to 50%. But you save, when you actually present it, you can see it. And all the other good part about these utilities I'm mentioning is all you got to do is present it. We're not taking it from you. You don't have to sacrifice it, and then there's 200,000 Dbro wrapped in that, and we're taking, and then so forth. Again, we're taking nothing from you. It's basically you're presenting it just how you said with the earlier the Solana Deads. It's a soft stake. We're verifying it, right? We're not taking it. We're not moving it from here. So yeah, you'll still be able to use it. We're verifying it, and it's the same thing we're doing. We're just verifying it that you are partaking in your helping with the ecosystem, which that us as developers, we're like, hey, thank you. Love seeing you use our builds, our utilities, and we're just basically saying thank you and keep your NFTs, but you see the proof and here's your discount. Then we got Dbro mentorship, which we guide people through the Web3 dev kits. Our repo has over a couple $100,000 worth of code in there. As you know, like Silky, when he was around with Doms, he actually did one of them, right? And then there was a few other projects, Mr. Puggles, they all got this because they wanted that volume bot that was in there. And they all, wrapped, partaken, staked, and wrapped for Dbro wrapped NFTs, and they all had access to that code that was probably worth like about $7,000. Downloaded it, and they were all running the volume bot to microbuy in their projects, and then put it in. And that's how Doms even got their staking pool in the first place. Was they ran our volume bot that was there in open source by partaking and collecting those rewards and the time of building the staking, and then now they have a somewhat of a close system to like ours that's longevity and sustainable by using our tools, right? But through workshops, so we got workshops on there, like how-to videos, development. As you know, we do custom development. We have the DOM wrapping, and soon, hopefully to the public by February or March next year, we'll have the IPFS running. But again, problems still need to be solved with decentralized storage, as we talked about. And you'll always have 30%, everything there. There are specific wallets right now that are only gas-free. It's MetaMask or Phantom, certain, that the site offers. I think it's like MetaMask, Phantom, or Trust Wallet. Not gas-free. What's going to be gas-free as we put on here is the Coinbase wallet, the Smart Wallet, and your Coinbase accounts, right? So just in general, because Coinbase has control over, where they can actually pay for those fees from. So having external sources that they can't control, we can't essentially like I'd be like saying, oh, well, you don't have to pay gas fees on Ethereum anymore, right? You don't have to pay the native token. There's no way you can do that. So there's a certain amount of control you can have. There's a certain amount of control you don't. When you build stuff with your own ecosystem, then you can offer cool shit like this, right? But
and that's what
we also have Morpho on here. So as you see, I don't know if you click the tab for well, we'll start with like the token, right? So the token tab. On the token tab, you can see everything there that I just described about our token, to the Dbro tokens contract address, staking contract, the wrapper. On the Dbro stats page, this is actually our real on-chain credits and like stats. Like it's not just something that's statically in our code. This is reading from Talent Protocol, Base, real sites that are getting all on-chain data that track like I build and certain things in the day and deploy new contracts or anything here, you'll watch this change and everything here too as well. So if I deploy 2 more contracts, the total score might go up a little bit more. It'll go down and say ENS account ages, Farcaster, the GitHub, everything that's in here for metrics is 100% coming from on-chain and real data. And the last one is the Morpho tab. And so we even put Morpho in here, and this is sponsored on gas too, and both sides, native and ERC20 as well. And this will allow you to, and we're going to put lending in here as well soon as too. But this will allow you to leverage even more APY on your stable. Because if you have a Coinbase account, you're getting like 4.5 or 5%. Okay, well we can get you around almost 13, 14%, because then you can come over here and you can take some extra USDC that you have and you can put it into the Morpho vault and get an additional 6.07%, right? So, give it a couple of, so there's a lot. And again, we're not taking any fees from that, man. And this is available on the DApp and in the mini app. So if you want to do it through Farcaster, cool, you can do it through Farcaster. Just go to the mini app. You want to do it in base app, open the base app, mini app, and connect and stake, add to the Morpho vault, whatever. And if you want to do it from a computer, you can still connect your Coinbase wallet that is gas free by clicking the Coinbase and then connecting your smart wallet, or your actual Coinbase wallet from your phone. So lots of new stuff here, and it'll continue growing. And there, like I said, I am working on some other really great utilities right now. I guess I'll give a little bit of alpha on one of them. I shared it with a friend yesterday. So I'm working on, all right, I'll give it a little bit of drop for it. But I was like, should I not? People always like take it and try to run with it, but I know somebody won't be able to build it out and have the tech plan like I do. But I'm working on, I haven't came up with a solidified name for it or anything, and I'll send you images on it so you can see it, but base run. And I think it's base run or base runner. And I got these, certain shoes I have right now that I put, LEDs around that say your base name. They Bluetooth to the base app inside of the mobile app or your browser, and you earn USDC when you run. And so how we do it is like you'll buy the shoes and you can customize them, like either like women's or men's. And when you get them, whatever color, so forth. When you buy the shoes, then a certain percentage of the shoe money goes to the company. Then the other percent goes to auto buys on USDC and Dbro, and other assets will constantly keep adding and supporting. So maybe you want to choose what asset you want to earn when you run, then you can choose that asset, right? And then from that point, you can choose, like, let's say you chose USDC. Well, after you run within the mini app, and you have a certain amount saved up, you can choose to have it auto deposited like in the Morpho vault, and then you can also choose to lend it out. So you can be somewhere around like 15 to 20% APY between the two. So you're just running, but then when you're running, you're, instead of cashing it out or anything, it's going into, from your settings auto, it's going into let's say 50% to a Morpho vault and then 50% into lending. And so, you could be at one point where you're just lending out thousands of dollars, or however, it may be. And then, so it's pretty cool. That's kind of like one of the other things where I'm really working on as well too. And there's just, and a few other things, but I think, base run is definitely based runner. I don't know. I'm gonna have to come up with a cool name, but I got some cool images and stuff for it and everything, kind of like laid out. And uh,
Your
here, you
boy
know what?
runs a lot, so
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm
So it's
pretty
like,
excited to
like
hear that.
I wanted to give something in IRL too, right? Like not just something that's always like on a website and digital and certain things, right? It's like, and it'll have sensors in the shoes and stuff too. And some people may say, "Oh, well, why not just make it where it's tracking my movement and everything else?" Well, because then, you know, how would we buy assets and have asset vaults and certain things to be able to pay you for running? We'd have to come up with other incentives, things like that. So for us, it's like, and also too, it's they can't be manipulated as well too, because there'll be like even sensors in the shoes. So they'll be like the shoes will charge whatever else, and then and the shoes will connect to your app, your Bluetooth, right? And then when you run for each step, it's actually tracking that with the pedometer and everything else. So then it's not just like going by your phone's movement or anything else. That like the shoe has to actually hit the ground like every
Yeah.
step. And yeah,
Got to have that in contact for that chip to know that it just hit the ground each step. And that's smart
yeah,
because you gotta protect yourself from people that like to, when I was playing Pokemon Go back in the day, I was doing little tricks here to you
yeah.
get your
See,
guy other places. Oh, look, I walked. My incubator's done.
100%, bro.
So you know exactly what I mean. Um,
Yeah,
you know, with that, uh, we'll kind of start to wrap it up. I know we're gonna have more
yeah.
podcasts and stuff, and I know that it's Halloween, and we'll get us to the with our families and stuff as well. It's been absolutely amazing. This might be one of my favorite podcasts so far that I've had a recording with. And I look forward to talking more. There's so much in this industry that we could really talk about and go on forever. You and I talk on Spaces. For those of you guys that are watching this on YouTube, Decentral Bros on X, Crypto Stoner on X. You guys can follow us. We're always in spaces. We're always talking, and a lot of the times it's important stuff that we talk about because we're passionate about this industry being done correctly. So I'm happy you were able to take some time. I'm happy we were able to hear your inception story, talk about Decentral Bros and what you guys have in your business here with your blockchain tech and your IRL stuff. We talk and like I said, we'll talk about this in future ones. But we talk about IRL. We talk about we have to onboard people, right? And we talked about the difficulty of getting a wallet back in the day to the difficulty of sending and moving money. Now it's a little bit easier, but we still have wallets. We still have to do certain things properly. We have to know what slippage means. We have to know what the network fees cost and all these things. But we talk about that futurization of how do we get the rest of the world to adopt this? Well, we have to make it seamless. And so a lot of the stuff that I see you guys doing at Decentral Bros and the way that you're building out everything on your side, it's how do I make this and facilitate this to make it easy for everyone to just get in? Even if it becomes this runner app too, right? It's, hey, I'm going to get these pair of shoes. I'm going to make rewards off of just going out and doing some exercise. It's that simple. Turn the shoe on, link it to that app, boom. And then that,
No seed phrases, no wallet onboarding. It's just the second that you hit the site and create an account, boom, you're talking. It's like,
100%.
yeah.
So, as we wind it down here, I would say let's talk about a little bit of, maybe calls to action for Decentral Bros, calls to action for Web3. What kind of parting words would you want someone that just met you guys today to kind of hear about who you are, what you stand for, and what you want people to get out of this Web3 experience?
It's always tough because people are like, Why don't you run more spaces? Why aren't you telling people to buy Dbro? Why aren't you doing these things?" And I
Yeah.
don't know. I've never been that person to sit there and go into like a chill space or certain things. And um, I guess one of the things I would say is like, it goes back to like really understanding. A lot of people do it in IRL where they're like, well, if I'm going to buy that, why do I need it? Or is it something I need? Or if I put my money in that Roth IRA, like what is it going to give for me? What's it going to return? Like you do all your research, right? And I know this, like there's a shiny new object like every second in crypto, but you take a look around and you look like certain things. I think like sometimes when you build, it'll speak for itself, and building on the right chains and other aspects like that. Like we just applied for the marketing for Coinbase, and it's free, right? Like now that I've been building on there for a long time, so they came out. They have a base.dev website that reads my address for all that on-chain stuff that I just showed you under the Dbro stats. So they know who we are, they know what we're doing, and they have proof, right? And now I have a nice tab in there where I can say apply, and I can apply in two different ways. I can get our mini apps featured, paying $0 a month, right on the featured in there, or I can apply for all of Coinbase base, all their big major socials with millions and millions of people and users to advertise our products. And so, like, I would say just build in the right direction, right? Because then you're going to see something like you see some people see, oh, well, look what they just tweeted about in this. Look, these people built. Next thing you know, they got 50,000 followers. They got a couple 100,000 users, and that's because they're doing the right thing too. They're building in the right spot and getting the right recognition. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you to buy it. Again, not financial advice or anything, but our development speaks for itself. Our track record speaks for itself. The time we've been in here and the knowledge we have, everything being 100% custom as well. Just do your research. If you want to believe and help us out, then partake in the ecosystem. That's pretty much all I would kind of say to that. And just you chase shiny objects and you want that quick flip of profit, you can just trade the token. You can go share with your friends. We just relock liquidity 256 years. Everything else, threw away the keys, burned it, the whole 9 yards. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna outlive us.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's how long I'll be here. I didn't. When it expired for like 3 months, and I was just so busy I didn't relock it, didn't drain it, didn't do anything right. Like nothing happened to it, so everything's still stable. And I could have been like, well, I want to take back my initial, like everybody else thinks about. No, that's not why I'm in this. It's not why we did it. It's not why we created, invested it. We made it for a bigger picture here. And so I just said, how long can I lock this out for? And with the new updates, it allowed me to lock it out to a max of 256 years. And I said, let's do that and throw away the keys, right? Then I don't have to worry about coming back and checking every 2 years and relocking, paying the fees. No, let's just pay it one more time, leave it alone. Crumple up the wallet, disposal of it, dispose the LP token, so forth, and give that sense of security of living forever. So,
and Justin's not good at promoting his own stuff per se or telling you to buy it, but I will say that something that I outside of their ecosystem of purchasing NFTs, wrapping, staking, all of that, there's so much service. So make sure you guys check out Decentral Bros on their website, because if you want to build something or you want to become a part of the Web3 world and you want to do it correctly, that's part of the offer of Decentral Bros. It's not just investing in them, it's being able to go to them and then ask for help, how to build properly. I need a contract for this token. There's plenty of people on the website that you can verify that have already paid for contracts to be done and how happy they were with that. So, outside of just the investment side being a solid 30% APY, on that staking of tokens and wrapping the NFTs, not only is that a option, they have real stuff. They have services. They have actual not servers, sorry, but parts for the computers. They have your mining rigs. And so there's a lot of things that they offer that are outside of just that internal ecosystem. And a lot of the stuff that you support will feed the ecosystem. So I'm just happy again that you were able to take some time today. I look forward to having many more of these with you, brother. It's just a pleasure to be your friend. It's a pleasure to be a part of the Web3 blockchain, building properly with you, obviously with Rogue and the Solana Deads over here. It's just amazing.
Yeah, you guys are killing it.
Thank you. We're trying and we're doing that same thing. It's not just, obviously we've talked about it before, but it's not just the Web3, it's branding, it's IRL, it's bringing people into the adoption. So all of those things. With that said, I'm going to let you say goodbye to the fam here, D-Bros, and then I'll get us out of here so we can go have some candy and Halloween festivities.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's it. I guess the only thing I would just say I forgot to mention was you said, oh, gas fees for buying Debro, but if you use any other exchange, yes, you will have gas fees. But if you actually go to the staking tab here on this site, the new one, www.debro.dev, you connect your wallet. Like I said, one of the supported wallets. You can buy Debro again with either native or ERC20, and we'll sponsor the gas for it as well. So you can literally buy the token and not pay any gas fees too. So that you get every dollar that you spent.
So you're saying you get to have your cake and eat it too, Justin? I love
yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
that's it.
Dude, again, thank you. It's an absolute pleasure. I look forward to having you on in the near future again. And thank you guys, everyone that's been tuning in, listening to us. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. Make sure you guys hit that notification bell on the YouTube there, and help us take back the timeline by sharing this with at least one person. Share this video on your timelines or on your text a friend, but share this out to somebody. I'm going to give you guys some homework, because with your help, we can continue to expand on how many eyes see us, how many eyes get to hear from real builders in Web3, and kind of what we see, what we do, and how we move. So thank you guys for being here with us, and let's trade safe and we rise together. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Later.